there's just so much.
You're listening to a Mamma Mia podcast.
Despite all the evidence we have around exercise and the links with our mental health, the most important thing is that we find something we enjoy and something that we can stick to.
Hi there, this is your full body health check. I'm Claire Murphy.
And I'm Dr. Mariam.
And today we're in our exercise era. Did you know that?
Are we?
Yeah, we are. Well, we're trying to be anyway. We are looking today at what exercise works best to deal with your mental health. You know, like in the pandemic when there was all those videos getting around of, there was a certain song that went with it too, and I can't remember it, but it was like me outside doing my 5-minute stupid walk for my stupid mental health.
Oh, yeah.
You remember? Like, because we're all like permitted to go outside for, and everyone's like stomping down a pathway somewhere outside. We'll also check in with Linda. She is in pain. And what have we learned about pain, everyone? Zero pain is the normal amount of pain, right? So Dr. Mariam here is going to help find out how to get to the bottom of Linda's issue. But next, what size were your twins, Dr. Mariam? You have beautiful little boys.
Yes,
Zach
I
and Jacob.
do. Can I say I'm freaking proud of my body? I was lucky to deliver quite late with the twin pregnancy. So I birthed them after 37 weeks. They were born from my vagina. And they were big boys, so about 3 and 3.3 kilograms. Yeah. And my body did that. So, yeah, good off.
So you had nearly 7 kilos of human inside of you at some stage.
In the first week, like I shed 10 kilos with the fluid and placenta. It was crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, my kid was just over 3 kgs too, and I think that's pretty standard for human babies. But there is a TikTok trend going around at the moment of women showing off their big old bubbas, and I'm so obsessed now with giant babies. So let's go to med school.
Welcome to med school.
Mariam, I am so obsessed with this TikTok trend. Check out how freaking huge these babies are.
Hi! We officially wanted to enter the big baby TikTok. This is Gianna.
He's so big. Can I see the car?
Massive.
I think the thing with these babies in particular is that their mums are not giant.
Yeah.
So they're like standard human-sized people who just happen to have enormous babies. They are so, so cute.
Yeah.
Like some of them have those fat baby rolls that, and I've said this before, I have to physically like hold myself back from squeezing fat baby legs if I see them out in public. So I'm so sorry if you've seen me like reach for your fat baby and then control myself. I promise I'm not a threat. I just love squeezing fat baby legs. And so the official record, though, Mariam, for the biggest ever newborn belongs to a Canadian woman. Her name was Anna Bates. But the difference with Anna compared to these ladies that we're seeing on TikTok now and their gargantububbas is she herself was 7'11".
Yeah.
Right? So she was a big woman and her husband, Martin, was 7'9".
Yeah.
So I think even to this day they hold the record for like the world's tallest couple.
Okay.
But on January 19, 1879, Anna gave birth to a baby boy who weighed almost 10 kilos.
Good God.
9.98 to be exact.
That's insane.
And as we mentioned, the average of a standard newborn is somewhere just over 3 kilos.
It's like 3 babies.
There's like 3 full babies, which is insane. He was also more than 70 centimetres long, making him the longest baby to be born on record, about the height of a 2-year-old.
That's insane.
That's crazy. When her water broke, she lost 22 litres of fluid. Wow. Like, can you imagine just the chaos of what was going on in Anna's birthing room? Like, that's crazy.
Goodness.
The heaviest baby of the 20th century was again a boy, this time born in Italy in September 1955. Now, he officially weighed more than Anna's baby at 10.2, or unofficially weighed more than Anna's baby at 10.2 kilos. But when they went to check on the record, the documentation wasn't sufficient, so he couldn't be hailed as the hero of all heavy babies. Here in Australia, though, in March just last year, a Queensland woman called Olivia gave birth to a nearly 6-kilo baby. Wow. You guessed it, baby boy.
Yeah.
She said that her husband and his family were all large babies, so she kind of expected that might be the same for her. They were all over 4.5 kilos, so her husband and his brothers.
I hope she had a C-section.
think she probably did. She said, though, that like after her baby was born, all the midwives kept coming in and being like, are you the mum of the giant baby? Like,
do you imagine that title?
It's so freaking cute. If you have a big giant fat baby, please feel free to send us photos via our Instagram DMs because I am obsessed. And Mariam, women are amazing.
Yeah, we're like absolute superheroes.
Yeah.
Like the sheer ability to bring a small human into the world.
Oh, not so small human.
And they were not so small human. Can you imagine that? 6 kilos.
My kid was like pretty standard size and I felt ginormous and I felt so heavy. Like I can't imagine doubling that.
10 kilos.
Yeah.
Wow.
That is incredible. So to all the mamas with the big fat bubbas out there,
jeez,
good on you and please send pictures. Let's get into today's checkup, Mariam. How much our brains really need to exercise in order to stay healthy, both physically and mentally.
It's time for the checkup.
So I've mentioned this before, but remember back in the pandemic times when we're all of a sudden stuck inside 24/7 and we all sort of collectively realised that this was really not good for our mental health for many reasons, but one of those was not getting out and moving around. And then we started to do walks in our zones, sometimes the friend, and then we realised, oh, exercise, not just physically moving, but the social aspect of doing it with someone else had a major impact on our mental well-being. This is so weird that we're talking about the pandemic right now because it feels like 5 minutes ago, but also like a million years ago. It really has messed us up a little bit psychologically. So one thing it did do, though, was make us realise just how important exercise and sociability of all of that is for us mentally. Mariam, when you're speaking with people who are suffering from mental health issues, do you ever encourage them to get moving? Like, is that part of the process of dealing with mental health is moving and exercising?
So when I'm chatting with people about mental health, yes, I definitely encourage movement. We know that's like first line treatment for a lot of mental health condition, and it's definitely one tool in the mental health toolbox. And I always say it doesn't have to be a marathon or a fancy gym session. Even a gentle walk, dancing in your lounge, stretching, gardening counts. And you can do it with a friend, and that's really great as well. You know, we spoke about the social element, the connection, and that's like a secret superpower for your mood. So definitely something that's really important for everybody, and no one feels bad after a walk.
I mean, unless you were me with your dodgy knee. Sometimes it was bad, but now it's good. I want to ask you though, like, we've talked about having a team of people around you when it comes to getting yourself to a really good place, physically healthy. Is there a member of the team that we would speak to when we're talking about exercise and mental health?
You know, it's really interesting. Not many people are familiar with it, but there are several things that you can do. Exercise physiologists, very underutilized allied health service.
Can I admit here, until I was researching and you suggested the people, the experts that we're speaking to through this process of it, I'd never heard of an exercise physiologist before.
So they're university qualified health professionals who specialize in using exercise to prevent and manage physical and mental health conditions. So many EPs work with people experiencing anxiety, depression, stress, or other mental health conditions. And you can find one through the ESSA website. That's the Exercise and Sports Science Australia website. There are also psychologists or mental health professionals with a focus on exercise. We know some psychologists integrate movement or lifestyle medicine into their therapy sessions. It's especially helpful for someone if they're struggling to get moving due to depression or anxiety. So their depression or anxiety is kind of stopping them from moving. There's community programs. So a lot of councils often run group walking programs, gentle fitness classes, or social exercise specifically aimed at well-being. They're also great to combat loneliness, and we know there's so many things that can happen as a result of loneliness.
It really impacts your mental health.
Yeah, it really does. And then there's online resources. So there are mental health-focused exercise programs like MindFit, the Black Dog Institute exercise resources, or apps that combine movement with mindfulness and mental health support as well.
God, there's heaps more than I thought.
Yes,
like when I was putting that question to you, I was like, surely there's like one specific specialty person that you would go to, like is really niche, but there is actually quite a few options.
One good thing about COVID was I think it made us aware of how much movement can impact our mental health and that need for social connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're still searching for silver linings from the pandemic. So there you go. There's one.
There's one.
Well, speaking of experts, next we're going to speak to Professor Rosenbaum. He's got some great advice on what exercise you should do when you want to see improvements in mental health. And sometimes it's almost immediate.
Want to feel good more often in 2026? Hi, we're here for you. Move by Mamma Mia helps you fit movement into your everyday, giving you more of me time whenever you need it. From strength and cardio to yoga and Pilates, with workout plans that fit every space, every body, and whether you've got 10 minutes or 40. Start 2026 with enjoyable movement from just $9.99 a month. Mamma Mia subscribers get unlimited access. Head to move.mamamia.com.au and use MoveMe to get $20 off an annual subscription.
Simon Rosenbaum is a professor in the discipline of psychiatry and mental health at the University of New South Wales, Sydney, and the co-lead of the Nexus Research Group. We started our chat with him asking about the science behind exercise and the impact it has on our brains. All right, so today we're talking about the links between exercise and mental health. And I guess I wanted to ask you first up, beyond the physical benefits, are there forms of exercise that are especially good for mental health in particular, or at least reducing stress levels?
So we get asked this all the time. What's the best sort of exercise? How much? How often? All those sorts of questions. The short answer is that there isn't one. There isn't one best type of activity. It's really the type of activity that people enjoy. And that enjoyment factor is probably, if there's one thing I can leave you with today, is that despite all the evidence we have around exercise and the links with our mental health, the most important thing is that we find something we enjoy and something that we can stick to. So anything else becomes details and semantics. The most important thing is finding something that works for you in your routine, in your stage of life, with everything that's happening else in our lives, and something that we enjoy that we can stick to.
Amazing. So do we understand, though, what's happening in our brain when we do exercise? What is it about physically moving our body that's improving our mood or reducing our anxiety or whatever the impact might be?
It's a common question, and a common answer that people run to is endorphins or brain chemicals, and we like to talk about that. And yes, it is true, there are things happening in the brain, and biochemically we can think of moving or a session of movement as a bit of a reset for the brain, and neurochemically there's a lot of different things happening. It's not just endorphins. There's other things that happen when we're moving. We're increasing blood flow, we're increasing oxygenation to the brain. So there's lots of different things that are happening that can contribute to how we feel. But there's also other factors. If we think about social connection, if we think about having a reason to leave the house and go connect with friends, if we think about how we feel in our own bodies after we've achieved something and that sense of achievement and purpose, all those factors are just as important as what's happening in that acute session in terms of brain chemicals and what's happening there. So there's lots of different mechanisms that contribute to the mental health benefits of exercise. The other thing to think about is there's both short-term or acute benefits. So for example, I'm here in Mexico, it's the afternoon, I've been working all day, I'm desperate to go out for a run. That's going to happen after this. So there's that immediate benefit, but there's also long-term adaptations that happen in the body when we're consistent with our exercise over time. So both short-term, those benefits of a single session, it can help lift mood, help us feel a bit better, help us sleep a bit better, in addition to the long-term changes that happen.
Are there certain mental health conditions that might be better served by exercise than others? Like, say, is depression one that, is better served with exercise, or anxiety or burnout? Like, what do we know about particular conditions and the role of exercise?
Yeah, so there's probably two things here. One is the evidence we have and the science. Most of the research we have is around depression or depressive symptoms. So we have very strong evidence around the role of exercise, and it's so strong that, in fact, if we look at the Australian treatment guidelines for depression, what we call lifestyle change, which includes structured supported exercise, is now considered first-line treatment for depressive symptoms. So what's important to take away from that is we're not saying that everyone's depression can be treated by just going for a walk. And that's absolutely not the message we're sending. And it's really important that we don't stigmatize mental health treatment, that we don't make people feel bad for needing access to mental health support. It's critical, and that can include medication, it can include talking therapy. Whatever it is that people are accessing for their mental health is important. What we know from the evidence is that when we add exercise to usual care, we think of it as another tool in our tool belt and something that should be used from day one alongside traditional mental health treatment. That's where the evidence is strongest. So that includes for depression, for anxiety. If we think about other conditions commonly known as severe mental disorders, so things like schizophrenia, we do have evidence there as well around the important role that exercise can play, not just for minimizing symptoms, but also for improving physical health outcomes, things like quality of life, things like sleep. All of these factors are really, really important and can benefit from participating in structured, supported exercise. Again, so it's not just that immediate benefit of those mood-enhancing benefits we get, but it's that there's longer-term other important benefits as well.
How immediate is it when you say immediate? Because I think for a lot of us, even just the thought of exercise, the motivation sometimes is just not even there. And so maybe part of that messaging for motivation might be how quickly we might see results. Like, how fast is immediate?
Great question. And it depends on the person. It depends on their current conditions, what's going on in their life, what's happening. When I did my PhD work, I was working with inpatients with severe post-traumatic stress disorder. So these were people who were in hospital receiving treatment for a very severe condition. Now, for the people we were working with then, getting up out of bed and walking for a few minutes, maybe doing 5 minutes of resistance training, had immediate benefits that they would report. I'm sure you can relate to that as well. If we've had a busy day or we've been sedentary, even just getting up and doing something, for a lot of people, we have this immediate feeling, the sensation of something positive. So that's universal. Everyone can participate in that. There is longer term changes that happen as well, and we've got to give that a bit of time. The same as physical health. If we think about exercise and fitness, for example, we don't go for one walk and expect that we've just increased our fitness magically. It changes over time. Our bodies adapt over time. The way I think about exercise is that it's a certain type of stress we're putting the body under. We put the body under that stress and the body responds and it changes and it gets stronger. And it's the same thing when we think about the mental health benefits of activity. But the good news is that everyone at any time can experience some of the benefits if they're able to participate in something they enjoy. And again, coming back to that enjoyment, it's got to be fun. If it's not fun, no one's going to do it.
What about the different types of exercises and their potential impact on our mental health? So do you get more assistance from doing cardio as opposed to doing strength training? What type of exercise do we know benefits our mental health the most?
Again, most of the evidence we have is around aerobic forms of activity. So things like walking or running or anything that gets your heart and lungs pumping. Having said that, there's some really exciting work happening around strength training. So what we call muscle building exercises or activities against some sort of resistance, showing that it can be just as effective as aerobic exercise. Again, for me, the more important questions are where are you doing the activity? Who are you doing the activity with? Is it in a safe, supportive environment where you feel comfortable and you're maybe interacting with friends or there's some family? I think those questions are just as important as the what are we doing. So thinking about the context or the environment in which the activity is taking place. You might have heard about the green gym or the blue gym, and this refers to exercise outside in nature or exercise by the beach. There does, from the evidence we have, appear to be a bit of an added benefit there, but I think it's really important we don't send the message that in order to benefit from activity, you have to be lucky enough to live by the beach or by a beautiful green space. That's absolutely not the case. If you are lucky enough to live in one of those places, and we have a lot of them in Australia, then of course exercising outdoors does appear to have a bit of an added benefit as well.
It's that little extra touching grass moment that's we've been told is so good for us, right? What about time of day then? So do we know if there's any extra benefit to exercising earlier in the day or later in the day where it comes to our mental health?
Yeah, I'd be cautious of headlines around these sorts of questions. Anything that sounds too specific may not be entirely true for everyone. And so we've got to also think about research is typically done on a big group of people, and we're looking at averages often. So for me, again, the important thing is personal preference. What's more important is that you have that routine or that regular participation, that regular time. And if for some people with your routine, that's at night, great. For some people, nighttime activity can impact sleep, and sleep is absolutely critical. It's just as critical as exercise, that rest and recovery. So anything that's interfering with sleep is not a good idea. But really, what's going to work in your routine, with your lifestyle, with what's happening at the moment, that's the most important thing. Don't stress about whether it's morning or night.
You just touched on something there that I'd like to finish on, is the role of rest where it comes to exercise as well. And I know some of us might take rest a step or two too far and not enough of the exercise part of it. But how important is rest and recovery in that process?
Rest is absolutely critical. So there's a lot of work happening at the moment. If we think about on average, so most people in Australia are largely inactive. So we have a big problem with inactivity and not enough physical activity. Obviously, we're working sedentary jobs. There's a lot of things happening. People are more sedentary, screen times. So most of our work is focused on how do we support people who are inactive to participate in more activity. Having said that, there is a real issue and a growing bit of research around people that are maybe using over-exercising or using exercise as a way of coping with other things at the level where it potentially becomes detrimental or harmful to health. So exercise is absolutely critical. Rest is equally as critical. Proper sleep, just like proper nutrition, thinking about smoking cessation as well is critical. But rest is really, really important. And without enough rest, we're not going to get the benefits that we need.
Mariam, your thoughts on that?
Yes, my key takeaway from that chat was that mental health benefits of exercise come less from the type of activity and more from consistency, enjoyment, and that connection. So we know that movement acts as both physical and psychological resetting. It improves your mood, your focus, your resilience, but it only works if it fits naturally into your life and feels good to do. So in short, the best exercise for your mind is one that you'll actually look forward to doing, and you can keep doing it again and again.
Again, I know a few weeks ago I set myself some homework to find some exercise that I like.
Yep.
We're still working on that. We will get there. We will find something.
Yeah.
On the way
I can imagine you tap dancing. I don't know why. I don't
think I'd mind tap dancing.
I think you'd be good at it.
I love yoga, but with my knee replacement, it's gotten a little bit harder to do.
Yeah.
Dancing.
Yeah.
I could definitely do that.
I think you could.
On the way, today's quick consult is for Linda, who has been in pain for far too long.
Quick question. Are you tired of the news? Do you want a podcast that isn't self-improvement? Come get Unleashed. It's funny.
I also think that underwear is sort of almost like a new marriage. Like it starts off, it gives you the best of what it offers at the beginning.
It's unhinged.
I have a bit of a thing for my friend's husband's salami.
Oh, hello.
It's not here to teach you anything.
I need to make sure he looks at me. One side, I'm going to make a sign. This is what I married because I didn't meet you in time.
Yeah, right.
The other side, with pointing to my son who's 12. Look what we could have had, Lewis.
Yeah, I love it.
It's a good time for Gen X. So search Unleashed wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes every Tuesday.
It is time for today's quick consult. Dr. Mariam is here to guide you.
The doctor will see you now just through here to consult room 1.
Linda, thanks for waiting. How can I help you today?
So Linda wrote in via our waiting room online. You can find a link to that in our show notes if you would like to go anonymous with your query. Also, you can email us well@mamamia.com.au. Find us on Insta or TikTok. Slide right on into those DMs too. It doesn't sound nice, does it?
That was very sexual. Jeez, I'm so sorry.
Did someone bring lube? Because I feel like that's what just happened. So Linda wrote this.
I'm nearly 70 and I had a hysterectomy about 30 years ago now, but I still suffer from pain in my lower pelvis. I'm currently on HRT patches, which I've been on for years, and I had a prolapse operation 2 years ago and was told there was a lot of scar tissue. Could this be the cause of my pain?
So chronic pelvic pain can be extremely frustrating, especially if you've been dealing with it for bloody years, Linda.
Yeah, that sucks.
You mentioned a hysterectomy about 30 years ago and more recently a prolapse repair where they noted that scar tissue. Now, scar tissue or adhesions, as we call them, is actually a very common source of ongoing pelvic discomfort after surgery. Your body heals by forming these little internal bands, and sometimes they can tug on surrounding structures or tissues or irritate nerves, and that can lead to this feeling of like a persistent ache or a pressure. So yes, it's very plausible that your pain is related, or at least in part, to the surgeries you may have had. It's also important that we exclude other potential causes. So we know that chronic pelvic pain can sometimes be related to the bladder, bowel, or musculoskeletal issues, and occasionally less common conditions. So I think a thorough checkup is always a good idea. We know that menopausal hormonal therapy, like the patches you're using, is great for symptoms of menopause. But unfortunately, it doesn't really change any pain caused by scar tissue. There are things that we can definitely do to help manage this pain. We know that pelvic floor physiotherapy can be surprisingly effective even years after surgery. Pain specialists can also offer strategies from targeted medications to nerve-focused treatments, and occasionally imaging like an MRI can be used to see if the scar tissue is playing a major role in the pain that you're experiencing. So there are definitely options to help you feel more comfortable and regain your quality of life. It's a little upsetting that you're 70 and you're still experiencing this pain. So I think the key is a tailored approach, sometimes a combination. We always speak about having a team of people, so whether that's the physiotherapist, pain specialist, and ongoing investigations for ongoing medical support will give you the best result. Best of luck with that, Linda.
Can I just say too, I'm really happy to see Linda reach out because I do have some older women in my life who have been dealing with some health issues and they've gotten to a point where they're kind of like, well, I'm 70, like what's the point? I should just deal with it.
Exactly.
Until the end of days.
Yeah.
Your quality of life, especially for us women, we live like, you know, on average well into our 80s now. Like you still have a good nearly 20 years maybe under your belt to go. You don't want to spend another 20 years in pain. So go and speak to people. You are, you know, not past your use by date. Go and get stuff checked out and
get it sorted.
Get it sorted. Good on you, Linda. Thanks for joining us on Well today. We hope you're getting as much out of all of this info as we are. We have learned so much from all of your questions that are coming in, and even Mariam, you say sometimes you're learning even more about your job too every day, which is so cool. We are now taking that information to our own GPs, which is very cool. Remember, the info though you hear here is general, which means it's great to know, but without the specifics needed to make sure it's the right info for you. It's not always going to help, so take it, go speak to your GP. Next week, Mariam, we're speaking to someone you may well know for her time on the waves. Layne Beachley is a surfing legend. She has 7 world titles and the only surfer in history to win 6 consecutively. She's a bit of a legend. She carved out one of the most successful careers in professional sport. Her journey, however, has been far from smooth. Adopted at birth and confronted with depression, injuries and setbacks, Layne's continually transformed adversity into opportunity. Today, she is as passionate about empowering people off the waves as she was about winning on them. She is a fierce advocate for equality in sport, a champion for mental wellness, and a proud ambassador for the Black Dog Institute Are You OK Day and Gotcha for Life. We're going to be speaking to her about exercise and mental health because if anyone knows about the connections between the two.
I would love to listen to that chat. That sounds amazing.
I'm very excited to have you listen to her. She's amazing. So yeah, I'm really excited to bring that conversation to you guys. She's such a wonderful human being. She also responded to me on Instagram many years ago, which I'm going to talk to her about because it made my day. All right, we'll catch you on the waves next week.
Bye-bye.
Well is produced by me, Claire Murphy, and our senior producer, Sally Best, with audio production by Scott Stronach, video production by Julian Rosario, and social production by Ellie Moore. Mamma Mia acknowledges the traditional owners of the land we've recorded this podcast on, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation and the Wonnarua people. We pay our respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures.